Hi guys, Jennifer Takala here. I'm one of our women's pastors at Christ Church along with Susan Vaughn. And today I am here with Cheryl Grove. Cheryl is an RN who is a member of our church. She's married to Tim. She's got 3 amazing girls. And so we just invited her here today to share with us for a few minutes. She's been an RN for 22 years, and so she's got some medical experience. And we just know that as followers of Christ, during a pandemic or an epidemic or any time of uncertainty, we know that He is our peace and He is our comfort and He gives us strength. And it even says in the Bible that He's our healer. But that doesn't mean that we should be reckless with how we're living right now. And it's important to take some precautions to protect not only ourselves, but also our neighbors, because it tells us in the Bible that we're supposed to love others. And so Cheryl is just going to share with us a few tips and some practical things that we can do during this time to help protect ourselves and the people around us. So Cheryl, thanks for being here today. And go ahead and share with us whatever you'd like us to know.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just made a note of a few things I wanted to communicate to everybody today. I hope to bring some reminders about ways that we can prevent COVID-19 for ourselves and for others in our community. To bring you some self-care tips, because it's really hard in these when we're off our routine to remember to take care of ourselves. And then I hope to bring just a little bit of encouragement to wrap things up. So I know for prevention, one thing that's worked really well for myself and for my family, just to avoid getting out needlessly, is to do as much of my shopping online as possible. I don't know if this is something that you've tried before. I know several grocery stores offer it in our area. Tom Thumb, Kroger, Aldi, Walmart all offer delivery and pickup. Instacart goes to several stores. If you haven't used Instacart before, it's real easy to do online. And Target does some things as a drive-up. So if that's not something you've tried before and you'd like to try it and you're a little intimidated by the technology aspects of it, I'm sure there's several of us at church, myself included, that would be happy to help you get that set up for the first time. But that just kind of minimizes how much we get out and how much we are potentially exposing others or exposing ourselves. But we know sometimes getting out is unavoidable. We have to get gas. We have to, go to Costco. We have to go places that don't necessarily deliver. So during those times, we have some guidelines that the CDC has given us to try to minimize our exposure there. We have all heard to keep our 6 feet of distance from one another as we get out. And that's just to prevent, the spray, the coughing. And then they are now recommending that we wear a mask when we get out. I have a friend that made me a little, mask. When I'm at work, I wear the real deal, but you can wear a little cotton mask. You can wear a bandana if you have it. And primarily what that's doing is preventing, if you have the virus but don't have symptoms, maybe you don't know you have it, that's preventing primarily your spreading it with those around you. It's keeping it out of our stores, the community, trying to minimize that spread. Just be aware when you are wearing the mask, you still need to keep your 6 feet of distance from people around you. This is just giving you a minimal amount of protection with regard to the mask. And if you have the option when you go to a store or the drive-through or whatever to do a contact-free payment, you can use Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, some of the credit cards that have the little chip in them. That's great. If you don't have that option, that's okay too. Just exchange your payment, clean your hands afterwards, clean your card if you have handed it over to someone else, just some basic common sense. Be aware of what you are doing with your hands while you're shopping. You want to avoid touching your face. You want to avoid touching personal items like your phone. Keep that phone in your purse or your pocket, because whatever you're touching in the store will be transmitted to those personal items. So you don't have to wear gloves when you're out. I've seen a lot of gloves. Just when you get to the checkout and before you touch personal items, clean your hands. Keep a hand sanitizer in your pocket or purse. Clean your hands. and then clean them again before you, touch your car or get in the car. Just trying to keep your hands clean, trying to avoid touching your face. And then, of course, when you wash your hands, you've already heard this a million times, but clean for 20 seconds. Wash. I've seen people washing on Facebook, scrubbing their hands under the faucet water. And this is all kind of taking us back to basics about how we wash our hands. We need to wash our hands outside of the running water and then rinse when we're finished, 20 seconds. Also, when you're using hand sanitizer, making sure that you're, rubbing until it is dry. And then, making sure your hands are dry before you proceed to the next thing. So the drying does the dying. That's when the bacteria and the virus are doing the dying.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. So they need to be dry before you touch anything else.
That's correct. Yep. Really? Since we are going through a very unusual experience, we're way off our routines. We're taking care of kids. We're, doing online shopping. One thing I want to remind you about is just keeping on your routine as far as your physical balance. We need to make sure people of all ages and mobility statuses that you're continuing to move. This might mean walking in your house back and forth several times a day. If you've got a flight of stairs, up and down the stairs. If you're able to get out and take a walk down the sidewalk. If you're able to take a jog, even better. But we've got to keep moving because sitting in a chair, as we know, predisposes us to some medical complications and predisposes in our senior population, just people getting weak and losing that strength that they have had in the past. So keep moving. Don't forget to maintain a healthy diet. Don't forget to maintain your regular water intake. We still need our vegetables and our fiber. So especially if we're moving less, we need to keep up with the fiber.
Right.
And don't forget to maintain, if you're taking routine medical medications from your doctor, your supplements, whatever, make sure to remember to take those. Sometimes it's hard to remember when we're off of our routine. Just set a reminder if it's hard to remember to take that blood pressure pill every morning because your routine is way off. And while we're on the subject of medications, I'm seeing a lot of chatter online about taking certain supplements, stocking up on certain things to take in case you get sick. And just make sure you check with your physician before taking any of those supplements because there are medication interactions that you may not think of, even something over the counter that might interact with something you're already taking. So just make sure you check in with that. Some medications and supplements that may be recommended for you by Facebook or the internet might interfere with some of your medical conditions that you have. So just use common sense. Make sure you're checking in with your physician about that kind of stuff. And then we've all heard this, but I'll just reemphasize. If you develop a fever, shortness of breath, or cough, make sure you're isolating yourself right away from people that live in your house, and then reach out to your physician for further steps there. So lastly, just a little bit of encouragement maybe. I've been watching the online models of the projections and the numbers, and we know that the staying at home is working. I've watched the numbers drop a lot. Mm-hmm. So we know this is effective. So please keep doing what you're doing. There's a projection of possibly a surge in Texas within the next couple of weeks. So don't stop doing what you're doing. I know this is hard to stay at home. I know some of us are suffering financially. Some of us are furloughed. We're schooling our kids at home, and that is tough. But just to persevere. We know that perseverance builds character. We know that perseverance in this is keeping our those of us that work in the hospital, it's keeping things from being to a dangerous level. And like Jen said in the beginning, we know that this is protecting our vulnerable in our society. So you're doing good. Keep it up. Hang in there.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for being here. I am so thankful to get to talk to you today because as much as I have watched the news or seen things on Facebook, there are some things that you said today that I hadn't thought of, like one about the drying, hand sanitizer drying. A second was, we've been taking extra supplements, and it never occurred to me, I'm not on any prescription medication, but it never occurred to me that those who are, that could interact. And so that was a really, really good tip. I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time today to join us, to share with us, and we're just thankful for you and all of the other nurses. Cheryl is one of many RNs at our church, and we have several that are out on the front line working every day. And so we're just thankful to all of our nurses, doctors, medical professionals at Christ Church and in our community that are doing everything they can to help us. So thanks again for being here today, Cheryl.
Absolutely.
See you soon.